You are now tuned in to the OSINTCurious podcast.
So welcome everyone to the OSINTCurious webcast/podcast. Today we have Samdev Sangwan. Did I pronounce it right?
Hi guys.
Thank you so much for joining us. And then of course there's myself and DutchOSINTGuy.
Hi everybody.
We expect a few more people to be joining us a little bit later. At least Micah sounds like he's going to join us, but we're going to get started. And so we want to interview you today, Samdev. So can you tell us a little bit about your start? How did you get started basically making tools?
Okay, so basically I am a security researcher and I have been contributing a lot to open source lately. So I really love automation, and when I got into OSINT, I really wanted to contribute something to the community, because there are not many tools available for us OSINT that I'm sorry, I'm just a little bit nervous. So there are not many OSINT tools available, but there are a lot of security tools. So when I started developing security tools, I noticed that there is a lot of scope. There is a lot of things that we can automate in OSINT. So I started writing OSINT tools from what I learned. My main that you can call a master is Sector. I'm very sad that he's not here. We talked on Twitter about it. So yeah, I just read blogs, and whatever tool I come across, or whatever API or some online service that I come across, I try to integrate it into my scripts and automate it however possible. So that's
What was your first script that you've really OSINT script, we'll say?
It was just a basic script to look up a username in different websites, a lot of websites, if it exists or not. Yes.
Okay.
So you just told us that you were initially in another infosecurity field. So what were you studying? Which kind of direction initially did you wanted to go?
Actually, I'm still a web security researcher. I perform security research on web applications, but OSINT is my passion. It's something I do as a side thing, and OSINT is something pen testers or bug hunters or similar people do in our field. We have targets, the pen testing raccoon and the OSINT information gathering. There is just thin line between both of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yes, the OSINT is more passive, while pen testing raccoon is more active. We make contact with the target. So, what was your question again?
Well, the question was, you basically answered it. You were saying you're doing the pen testing more, and the OSINT is more of your hobby because it got your interest, right?
Yes.
And I think you should change it around, because you're really good at open source intelligence, or at least providing us with valuable tools, because there are some tools you made. I think a lot of people in the OSINT security use a lot on a daily basis. So
I agree.
Thank you for doing that. Yeah.
I agree. Thank you. I think what really caught my eye, and I think a lot of people's eye right away, is when you started, you kind of jumped in on that Facebook problem. As soon as Facebook changed, you immediately had some tools for it. That was fantastic. When we look at your repository, what are your favorite tools? And if you want to highlight some of your tools that you have that you want to promote right now?
My favorite tool is probably Photon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Photon, maybe.
Yeah.
I am actually working on a newer version, a better version of it. I guess you saw my tweet about Photon 2.0. I am putting a lot of effort into it because it has, I guess, 7K stars on Twitter right now. Got quite popular. It is basically a crawler designed for OSINT that I call. It is a data scraper, and the second version will have custom extractors. You can put your own regex that you want to extract from a website. Let's say you have a form and you have something specific like you want to extract usernames. Then you can enter your the regex that matches that username, and you can put it into the tool, and it will scrap all the usernames for you. So that's the plan.
Yeah, that's crazy. And you all do it. You're just a one-man team, right? You don't have help when you code, or do you have some friends that helped you out?
No, actually, I have a lot of free time right now. I'm not in college. I graduated last year.
Congratulations.
So, thank you.
I really like, for instance, I'm really happy with the Orbit.
That's an interesting tool.
So because I like to do some Bitcoin exploring in my free time, just because it's so difficult and I like to challenge myself. And Orbit really helps me understand connections between transactions, for instance, quickly, because it graphs out so beautifully.
Yeah, I like Orbit as well. Same thing. Bitcoin's a interesting topic right now. We are going to, a little bit after the interview, we're going to go to your website and we're going to kind of go through some of your tools. So we will get a chance to look at those. We have a couple other questions for you. So what do you think is the future of OSINT in general?
Okay. I do automation, basically, for OSINT people. I'm not very good at OSINT. Like you guys, you are pros, you are masters in this field, you are gurus, wizards.
Everyone's a master in their kind of own area, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So I think a lot of new users are getting on the internet. For example, about 2 years ago, the most subscribed channel in India on YouTube had 6 million followers, but now it has become the first channel to gain 100 million followers in the world. It was the first channel. So we are observing a rapid decrease in data prices, which is letting new people get on the internet, and they are putting a lot of data on the internet. So we really need automation to make sense out of that data. For example, if you are, let's say, looking for someone named Samantha, you have a street address and you have name of that person. So right now the internet is quite new. I don't consider it very old. I think it's very new. So about after like 20 or 40 years, there will be many Samanthas on that street. Someone will be from 2014. Someone will be from 2030. There will be many people with that name, because the data is permanently stored on the internet, and we will have to go through each person to see if they are even alive or dead, because they will stay there, their profiles will stay there. So we really need automation to make sense out of all that data.
So are you working on AI at all? I see Technisette is joining us. Hello, Technisette. But are you working on AI, Samdev?
Not yet. Actually, you have to learn quite a lot to get into machine learning, and I'm currently working on my web security projects that I will be presenting in DEF CON in Vegas. So
great.
I'm busy with that, but after that I will surely will, because automation is what I love. And for example, you have a lot of social media profiles and there are people with the same name, and you have to extract the actual target. So you might need to match the profile picture with the pictures you have, facial recognition. So that's where I'm getting at.
Okay, so you're basically culling through some of the data, not necessarily in the AI, but at least automating to make it quicker for someone to get either into AI tools or look through themselves.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I like the way how your brain works. Well, when I listen to you, it's almost like you're telling me I'm seeing these and these data points, and I can code stuff around it so we can extract those data points and collect them. So it's really interesting for me to listen to that kind of perspective on looking on the open source intelligence field. Yeah.
So we have a question. When did you start coding?
I started coding about 2 years ago. At that time, I only knew Python. Then I learned a couple of other languages, for example, PHP, JavaScript. So yeah, 2 years ago.
Okay, great.
I wish I learned coding that quick in 2 years. I cannot produce the code that you produce. I can do some coding, but
I think everyone in IT should learn coding, to automate the boring stuff. There are a lot of things that we need to do again and again. So if we know programming, we can reduce
So
our
all kids
workload.
should learn it at least a little bit, right?
So I guess the easiest language to learn is Python. It's really very easy for someone who has no experience in coding. And there is a great book named Learn Python the Hard Way.
Oh,
You
learn
don't,
Python the hard way, huh? Okay, we'll bring it up too.
yeah, it's actually a very friendly. Uh, it's just hard in its name. It's really easy book, really easy to follow. That's how I learned. And after completing that book, you can go out and check other people's tools and scripts and try to modify them, play with them. And as you encounter errors, Google the errors and try to solve them. Ask someone. That's how you learn programming.
Okay, so we have a question from the viewers, but also it kind of ties into a question that we have. So one of the questions that we have written down in our own document is, what tip would you give to people beginning in the OSINT field? And then I'll ask you the other questions.
Okay. So I think the people who come from security may find it very puzzling because there are not very well-defined resources on OSINT. In web security or any security field, you can learn some attacks and try to replicate them on some vulnerable machines or real-world websites. But in OSINT, I don't think it's you can practice attacks. There are no attacks. First of all, there are a combination of techniques that one technique when combined with other technique leads to some data. Then you analyze that data and apply some other technique on it. But in security, you just learn an attack, find a vulnerable component, and execute that attack. So it's very different from OSINT. And I guess the best way to learn OSINT is to read blogs, case studies, and how they did something. How did they, move from one data point to another data point?
Right, and try, right? Just kind of experiment with it.
Yes, Sector has a great blog, and he also does a thing called Week in OSINT, where he posts interesting articles, tools, case studies. So
Yeah,
that's
our
really great.
Sector was here. Yes, yeah.
And
Yes.
Sector recently published a article series on a case that he was working on. It is a 6-part series, and I definitely recommend it to everyone who is watching this webcast because it covers a lot of techniques that you will be using in real world.
Yeah. So actually, the one who wrote it with him is in here, MW OSINT. We had him on as a guest previously. So yeah, I really like that series. So I think that's a good tip because I think that's what people forget when you conduct OSINT research. You can find the information yourself and learn yourself. That's basically what I get from your answer, right? You say, well, I look through these Week in OSINT articles, I look through books, I look through information, and I connect all those pieces together to come up with my own ideas.
Yeah, I mean, OSINT comes from experience, not like security that you can practice day and night and get good at it in a month or any year. It's just experience, I guess.
Right. So now tying into the question from Saket is, how should I start to master programming in order to write my own tools? Because that's where they want to learn.
Okay. So I don't know who said it, who is the author, but someone said that the best way to learn programming is to write programs. So that's what you should do. Pick up a programming language, explore the basics, and try to learn your own scripts. And Google is always there for you. Stack Overflow is always there for you. If you encounter any error, you can just go out there and ask someone, and they will help you. But that's the only way you can learn programming.
All right. And there's another question from the audience. Lightbold wants to know how much time you spend coding on a weekly basis.
When I'm in the zone, programmers have a zone where they can work for like even 16 hours a day. So when I'm in the zone, I don't even sleep at night. I will start at the evening and code till the sun comes up. That's how I wrote. There was a tool named XSS Strike. I wrote it in one night.
Wow.
So it really depends on if I am into the zone or not. When I'm in the zone, I may go up to even 12 hours or 16 hours.
All right.
So you should make a T-shirt, some dev, code until the sun comes up.
There you go.
That's a really
Yeah.
good idea.
Have your own merch store.
Yeah.
Okay, so one of the questions we normally ask is, what kind of OSINT would you like to get better at? What's your kind of focus? What's the hardest thing for you as well?
There are different kind of OSINT fields. Like there is satellite imagery, but my real focus is on the general OSINT we perform on scammers or the people we come across. So all the stuff that sector does and you guys does, the guys at Bellingcat does.
So we get into the cases. Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's what I want to do.
Okay. Have you ever joined any of like the CTFs, for example, like the?
No, I don't do CTFs because they do not reflect what happens in the real world. They are just puzzles, and I don't think you come across those situations in real life. So I guess CTFs are just a waste of time.
Okay.
I'm not talking about. I'm not talking about OSINT CTFs. I'm talking about security CTFs.
Okay. Yeah, so the OSINT ones maybe are the ones you should get into. And we had an interview a couple of weeks back with, and now the word's out of my head. Dutch, who was it that had the CTF? They do the missing persons.
Oh, the Trace Labs.
There we go, Trace Labs. Yeah, so something like that might be worthwhile because it's a real world case of missing people, and they have had some success. So it might be something you look into in the future.
Yeah, sure.
Another question is, what's the most difficult thing for you for OSINT?
In OSINT,
Mm-hmm.
I am really bad at guessing times, and that's why I asked Sector to write a blog on it, how to use shadows and other weather elements to predict the time. Mm-hmm. And he promised that he will write an article about it, and he actually did, but that's not what I wanted. He did one on I guess
shadows and
the distance from the camera or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm really bad at guessing times.
So as far as the shadows and like times with clouds and sort of thing, I'm just going to give kind of a shout out to Hacker Factor. I don't know if you guys have checked that out. I don't think he writes very much anymore, but his blog is hackerfactor.com, I think, and he does photo analysis, and it's pretty cool. Some of his articles, some of his rants are pretty entertaining too. Okay, another question for you: what inspired you to become so good at OSINT?
Let me say it again. I'm not very good at OSINT. I just do it as a side thing. I want to be a red teamer in future. So red teamers are basically offensive pen testers. They do everything they can, everything in their power to get into an organization's the most critical systems. So they need to do OSINT, social engineering, and everything they have got. So I'm learning OSINT for that.
Okay.
I don't really want to go into that, proper investigator. I don't want to become a proper investigator like you guys.
Okay.
But, it will really be helpful with my work. So that's why I'm pursuing it. I'm not very good at it, but if you want to be good at it, follow Quiz Time. They post some really cool challenges on Twitter. And you can try to solve them if you can, or just look at the solutions and how people found those solutions, and learn new techniques from there.
So are you going into social engineering then as well?
Yeah, maybe in future.
All right, we've got a question from Dark Droid. He says, when we try to perform OSINT precisely, talking about Indian people, there are literally less number of resources, which gives some concrete information. How do you perform OSINT on this, or what are your views on that?
Okay, so something I've observed is that Indian people really like to put a lot of information on Facebook. The other apps like Snapchat and Instagram are not very popular in India. So whenever I come across a person that I need to find more information on, I basically go to Facebook and search their name, and most of the times it's there. And if it's not there, Indians have their information on an app called Truecaller that I guess you guys know.
Yeah, so Truecaller
There-
we've been using also, but there's one thing for operational security which I ran within Truecaller. The other party might get notified.
And there is one more thing that I would like to point out is that Indians use WhatsApp a lot. So you can basically save someone's number and check their profile picture, and maybe send them a message and tell them you are their cousin or something. You have to social engineer your way into their zone, so they can add your contact and you can see their stories. That's how I communicated with that scammer. So that is not very ethical if you ask me, but if you have to do it, you have to do it.
On
Yeah, well,
Truecaller, on notifying the person, I reached out to Truecaller last year to ask them if that was true or not.
Mm-hmm.
And they replied to me saying a person only gets notified if that person you're researching also uses the app. If that person did not use or doesn't use the app, they will not get notified. So this was a year ago. I'm not quite sure if they changed their policy since then, but a year ago, they would only notify people if they would have the app installed on their phone.
I'm not really sure about notification, what notification you are talking about. But the way Truecaller gets its information is that when you install the app, it grabs all your contacts and uploads it to their server, so they can correlate the number and the contact name.
That's true. But if, let's say I have a Truecaller app and you are researching my phone number and you're typing it in either into the app or on the website, I will get a notification saying somebody is looking for me.
But it won't say who.
They won't say who.
I will need to confirm that because
this was
I
a
have
year
never
ago,
experienced that.
And you can
No,
recognize it by if the account shows up, if there's a hidden Truecaller, it will have a little shield, like a Truecaller shield icon logo.
Oh, that says that they're members.
And says that they're a member. And if it isn't on the profile, they're probably not a member. But then again, this was a year ago and I haven't tested it since. So I have used Truecaller, but I haven't tested if it was notifying people.
And Truecaller is not the only one that's out there that you can look on these. It just depends on which ones are popular in different areas. So after our interview, we'll go through and we'll look to see, what else is popular in India and the United States and the Netherlands, that sort of thing. Aha, Micah is here. What do you have coming up, Samdev? Is there anything you want to promote at all? Are you going to be in any local conferences or?
No. I will not be in any conferences, but I can definitely promote my upcoming tools.
Yes.
That I'm working on. I recently bypassed Google searches CAPTCHA. The CAPTCHA that we get after typing in docs. I bypassed that. So I am writing a tool to automate it in mass. You can perform searches in mass. You can split it a list of docs. There are a lot of different modules that I wrote. Like you can find all the documents hosted on a website, or you can find all the subdomains, or you can find LinkedIn profiles. There are different modules, and it uses that bypass that I made for Google. And there is of course Photon 2.0, and as you guys talked about Orbit, I will be working on Orbit 2. I recently got a flu. That's why I stopped working on the project. I will start working on it again, and maybe someone watching this webcast will contribute to it.
All right, we are going to take a look through your website here. So first of all, I'd like to thank you very much for coming on the show. And we do want to invite you to stay with us for the rest of the show. We're going to go through your stuff, the stuff you mentioned, because I brought those tabs up as well. Your own website, but then we'll go on and talk about whatever news is out there, and feel free to pitch in whenever you have a comment to say anything about anything we go over. All right?
Sure.
All right. Okay, so this is the book that Samdev mentioned, the Learn Python the Hard Way. For those of you who are considering kind of jumping into this is the one.
Yeah.
You great.
Keep in mind there's a new edition. It's Learn Python the hard Python free the hard way, because there's a difference in
okay. Learn more Python 3.
Yeah,
it's the wrong one.
There's
Actually,
also learn Python free the hard way. There's always.
What were you saying, Subdev?
Yeah, I was just saying that the author of Python 3, the hard way, recommends that you read the Learn Python, the original book first.
Oh, okay.
You can't, yeah.
Good tip.
There are differences in Python 2 and Python 3, that's why.
Okay. All right, so that was one of the things you mentioned. Here is Truecaller. You also mentioned. Now, if you join Truecaller, you can absolutely search it just on the web as well. So you can just log in on the web. But as I mentioned, there's more than just Truecaller out there. So if you wanted to check that, look for other ones, Applyzer, I think, is a great source, and that's applyzer.com. So you could say, just put in here the caller ID apps or what you're looking for, and let them show you what ones are out there individually. And then when you choose one of these, for example, maybe we're to see Caller 101, it should tell you what countries these are popular in. And they're not telling me for this one. The other way you could do it is you can go to World Charts, and here you can choose your device. And so, of course, iOS or Play would be our more interesting one. Switch your country around, so we can switch that to India if we want to. And using this tool, it's just going to show us the most popular apps. And again, we might switch from iOS to Google Play. It depends on, what's more popular you think is in the area. And then it'll have categories as well. So I think that one would be like contacts or something. But if you want to see the social networks, you were saying that they put a lot of stuff on Facebook, but they're not necessarily as popular with, Instagram, that sort of thing. But you can see in the free that, TikTok might be another place to look for content, although it's quite different content in TikTok than Facebook, right? But that's just one way that you can kind of sort through and see what apps are popular in different areas. So we'll put that in the show notes. All right, now we're going to go visit SomeDev's page. All right, so we've got your repository here. I don't know if you want to tell us something about some of these apps. So
Sure.
Which one should I go to? I'll let you tell me where to go.
You can obviously go to Photon or maybe Orbit. Let's
right.
go to Orbit.
Okay, Orbit. All right, so here's Orbit. Now, again, this is the Bitcoin wallet mapper.
It is actually inspired by research that Benjamin performed. I guess all of guys know him. He's a really good OSINT guy. He works with Bellingcat.
No, he actually doesn't work at Bellingcat anymore. He works for the BBC now. Benjamin Strix, who we were talking about. I think
I'm sorry. Actually, he did a research on Bitcoin address used by a terrorist organization, and he basically connected some Bitcoin addresses, and which gave me this idea of visualizing networks of Bitcoins to make sense out of all that data. Human eyes are really good at, human brain is really good at making sense of pictures and networks. That's why I made this tool. It was inspired by his research. So shout out to him.
All right. Yeah, shout out. We'll give him a shout out on Twitter. All right. And you want to talk about Photon?
Yeah, maybe. So basically it is a crawler that scraps data for you. It can extract emails, files, or cloud buckets, or you can supply your own custom regex that you want to extract, and it saves them in a nice categorized group of files. So just read its wiki. Every information is there, how to use it. And so yeah, check this out. Check this tool out. Go to my GitHub and click on Photon.
All right. And of course you have a ton of tools on here, so people can go through and kind of play with some of these other tools that you have. You've been very busy.
And very helpful.
Go ahead.
Most of these tools are related to web security, not about OSINT. But I'm working on few OSINT tools, like 2 or 3 of them. So you can see more OSINT tools in future.
All right. We will look for them. We'll definitely be keeping an eye on your...
Definitely be on the lookout for that, yeah.
Exactly. All right, we're going to go on to kind of the news section of the podcast. So first of all, we want to say we have our 1,000th viewer, for our subscriber for our OSINTCurious channel. So I want to
Congrats, guys.
thank you. Yeah, we're excited about that. You're going to see more content, of course, here. Of course, all of our webcasts are here, but some more 10-minute trailers and that sort of thing will be here as well. All right. So another thing that people were talking about is this Yahoo Finance article, not necessarily Yahoo Finance, but the Bitcoin. $1 billion worth of Bitcoin moved. And so we were talking about Orbit just now. Some of the whales moved almost $1 billion worth of Bitcoin to one unknown wallet.
Yeah.
Did you have any insight into that?
Well, I actually looked it up using the SumDev tool, Orbit, and well, I just looked it up this afternoon, and I cannot make sense of it yet, to be honest. It maps out a lot of good stuff, so I have to really firmly analyze it. But it's crazy, right? It $1 billion, and it has almost only a $700 transaction fee. So someone wants attention either for the blockchain being decentralized with low fees for high transactions, or someone is just filthy rich from the last 2 days. Yeah, it's just, but it's it's just crazy, this amount.
So Dutch, if we see you go off the grid for a while and buy that island you always wanted.
We discussed this. Not live.
Sorry. Is this being recorded?
No, but so the thing is, this article, they think that the $700 is a high trade. But I'm with you. I think $700 is a really low transaction fee for that much money.
Yeah.
So, because normally the transaction fee, I think, is 0.04% for like an average.
Yeah, but still, if you go to your own bank now and you want to transfer like, let's say, $1,000 or euros, the fee would be even price-wise higher, probably.
Right, I agree. So it's interesting. All right, next up, Facebook dating. Who opted in already?
I opted Nico in. I hope you're okay with that, buddy.
Yeah, sure.
Well, the creepy thing about this, and I read just a little bit, I must admit, I haven't dived deeper, but the crazy thing about it, when you scroll down the page, it says, hey, we'll even let you know if somebody that's a friend of your friend has a crush on you. So you can say, does this person like me? Does this person like me? And I swear there was some kind of dating app. Oh, hi, everybody. This is Micah. For those of you that are on podcasts, I came in late. But there was some kind of dating app that was like that, that was a mobile app or something. And you could say, hey, I like these people. Tell me if they like me. And that's some of the stuff that Facebook's doing.
And I think that was Hinge or something like that, where Hinge connected into Facebook. So it was still, if you have a crush on your Facebook friend, if they joined Hinge and they had a crush, indicated they had a crush on you, then they would let you know. So I think it is Facebook taking over that kind of function.
Yeah, and I think I also read you can just opt in all your other social media accounts, like your Instagram and your WhatsApp contacts, and it will probably, because I used to do some research on an app called Happen, a dating app, and it was proximity based, and that connected directly to your Facebook account. So
I want to try, but not with me. So
no, just a burner smartphone and just walk around. It's really interesting when you walk around certain buildings to find certain targets, for instance.
Oh yeah, good point. All right. SumDev, you didn't leave us, right? You just going, oh, okay, good. You're still here. All right. Next up, LinkedIn. Oh, this is actually the OSINT support page. So OSINT.support. They have a new reverse email tool for LinkedIn. They have one for Facebook as well. And I think it's on the same page right there. Entity ID parser.
Yeah.
They did recently just release the LinkedIn version.
Yeah. I have a funny story around this one. In the Amsterdam Bellingcat workshop training week, the actual developer of these tools was in class.
Oh, cool.
So basically when Charlotte, our main teacher in the Netherlands, was discussing some things, he immediately got inspiration, and we heard the rambling of a keyboard back in the classroom, and by the end of the day, the Facebook ID grabber was born, and I think by the end of the week, the reverse lookup LinkedIn add-on of Chrome extension was born. So it's crazy to see how the community immediately adapts to what you tell them. And that's basically what SumDev just told us just now. He reads blogs from Sector, for instance, and he gets inspiration and he writes a tool. This is basically the same story. And, well, he's been on fire the last, let's say, 2 weeks.
Yeah,
so
these things
I really like it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. Micah, you had something or no? Oh,
yeah, I was just going to say it's kind of, for me, it's about being curious and that I wonder if I can. A student in my class just looked at I think I showed some of you guys, like Kirby and Mica, the little untapped scraper app that scrapes person profile data from on the untapped.com website. And he just posted a little different question. He looked at it with a different eye and he posed a question to me. I was like, oh, that would be really interesting. And so, I skipped meals and I did all these things just to see if I could do this thing with Python. And so I don't know, I apologize for missing the beginning, but I highly encourage people to at least dive into Python a little bit, or some other scripting, harvesting type of thing, because it can make you very powerful as far as what you can do, your capabilities.
And that's the advice that SumDev also had.
Yes, yes.
All right. Okay, so now we'll go and hit some Twitter or some tweets here. So this one here is the image that President Trump tweeted around the Iranian test site, and people kind of started diving in to see what more they could get off of that.
Yeah.
And they got a lot off of that, right, Nico?
Yeah, so this is Nick Waters. He's part of Bellingcat. And, well, just by looking at the images and doing the chronolocation, the shadow calculation tool trick, and also, in addition, they got some inspiration from, what's the guy's name? Let me look him up. Marco Langbroek. It's a Dutch guy who is heavily involved in tracking satellites and satellite imagery, but especially tracking satellites and looking with telescopes to space. Well, the combination of the chronolocation by the cast shadow and the position, then they could determine which specific satellite took that image, and then they confirmed that it was a non-commercial, but just a governmental satellite, and basically a military satellite. So you can only talk about if this was a picture that could or should be released by Trump.
I think it's fascinating that they found, it's information not only on the ground where the missile is actually there, but also information on the satellite itself that they were able to dig out all sorts of stuff.
Yeah,
I love the different types of OSINT that they use to try to figure out what satellite in what position could have taken that picture. I mean, they're using a whole bunch of stuff. It reminds me of the oh crap, now I forget his name. The guy who posted and put that flag, "He will not divide us," and for Trump, and then all of the 4chan people found it and they lowered the just the amount of OSINT that somebody could do to find something. It's just spectacular. Just spectacular.
Yeah.
That was Shia LaBeouf, right?
There we go.
Shia LaBeouf, thank you.
Yeah. People, you get very creative, and there's a lot of different ways you can find things out.
The cool thing about this tweet and the thread, and thank you to Nick for doing this, is one picture. People are like, oh, what, it's just a picture. Why can't I share it? I should be able to share this one picture. What can somebody learn from this one picture? So, well, this shows you can learn a lot from a single picture, depending upon how creative you get and how much you know. So that was the lesson that I took out of this.
Absolutely.
Makes me wonder what kind of EXIF information would a satellite image have?
Oh, that would be fun to go through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Next tweet to look at. It is by SE Village about the CTF, OSINT CTF at DerbyCon.
Yeah, our own Josh Huff was in there. He's in the black derby. He's in the picture in the black derby. Third one on the left there, yeah. And we see some other OSINT community people. You got Dual Core who won it. Joe Gray's in there. I can't see the other people, but yeah. So this was, you see Joe Gray right over there.
All right.
Yeah, so this is neat. And some of our listeners have been asking for this over and over again. In fact, in the survey that we did, a lot of people were asking for OSINT specific CTF type of things, those challenges for open source intelligence so people could practice their craft. And here at the last DerbyCon conference, Chris Silvers and some other people got together and they did this OSINT CTF. And I don't have all the details. Josh said that there were some volunteers that allowed people to grab information about them, but it was definitely kind of cool. And congrats to Josh and everybody that played.
Yeah, absolutely. And that reminds me, let's go to our survey. So if you haven't taken the survey yet, please feel free to come over to OSINTCurious. Right now it's our second post down. But take our survey. And do you want to add any more about the survey? I saw that we might discuss some of the results.
Yeah, do you have the results up there? I think Laurent sent them. Laurent sent a link to it in our group. But yeah, so we wanted to say thank you to you all for helping us customize our content. We've been writing blogs that we find interesting for the past 9 months, and heck, it's about time that we asked you, what do you find interesting, and who are you? Because we see, you know, hits on the videos and all, but that doesn't translate into, I am somebody that's been doing OSINT for 3 years and I work in cyber threat intelligence, or this is my first time ever in OSINT. So what our survey is, that Survey Monkey link there, is for us to get to know you a little bit better so that we can customize our content. And there's Laurent made a great survey. It's just like 6 or 7 questions. It's, you know, what skill level are you? What kinds of things do you want us to post in the future?
All right. And we also have news. Michael Bazzelli is going to release his next version of it, early 2020.
His last version, I think.
I don't know. I hear that from the last one too, but I never see where it says last. I think it's just the next.
Yeah.
So.
You're right. I don't see that either, but I had heard. Well, it's all right.
Yeah, well, his podcast kind of sounded like it will be his last, but you never know. So I certainly hope it won't be his last book.
Right.
Yeah.
But this one should be something else. He said, well, his previous open source intelligence technique books were more like
how to use his tools a lot.
How to use his tools, and this is how to make your own, or at least come up with your own, or something like that.
Or deal with it when you don't have tools, which is what I always kind of say. You know, like, I love the tools, but when they're not there, you got to learn how to do it the hard way too.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. I mean, I can't wait. It's early 2020, so a little bit too late for a Christmas gift, right? That's a pity.
Yeah. Okay, so we have a few things to kind of promote. So, for example, the Open Source Intelligence Summit. Micah, I'll let you talk on that.
Hey. Yep. So we're doing our second OSINT Summit. So we're into shameless self-promotion now?
Sure.
All right, cool. So last year we did an OSINT Summit in Virginia in the United States in February, and it went very well. We had over 70 people there, and this is something that we're going to be doing again this year. It's going to be even bigger, badder than, well, batter is probably not a good way. It's going to be bigger and better than it was last year. We are looking for people that want to present. Our call for presentations, if you can see on the slide on the screen right now in the lower right, call for presentations is open for probably another 2-3 weeks. And we're looking for all types of presentations right now. And please go ahead and submit your presentation, even if you need help maybe getting to the event or whatever. There may be funding for us to help get you out there and stuff. So please make sure you do that. And if you'd like to participate, if you'd like to come and be part of the crowd, we are selling tickets for it, and we also have a discount if you're law enforcement. So come see us. I know I'll be there. I think maybe Kirby, are you?
I'm planning on being there, and I want to point out that the discount for law enforcement is a steep discount. It's like, what is it?
30%. 30.
And also, I want to kind of throw out that I will help someone if you want to put something in for the call for presentation, and you haven't presented before, or you're not sure how to structure it. Contact me. I'll give you some advice on it.
Cool. Yeah, and I'll throw my hat in the ring too. If you want a bald person's perspective, a bald American, Nico. I know you're getting ready to say something.
Yes.
If you want some European help.
That's
You guys have to get like a little sticker or stamp that's like bald approved.
Yeah.
A bald man helped me today. Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
Happy to help you put together some thoughts and all. You only have to submit the title and abstract. You don't have to have the entire presentation written for months and months and months. So send us your ideas. We want to hear from them.
We can help you flesh them out. I would love to see some of the creative ideas or case studies, that sort of thing. So,
Yeah.
all right. I'm going to actually throw over and talk about Osmosis Conference too, because since that one's coming up pretty quickly, early October. I'm speaking early at the Osmosis Con, and then I've got a bolt, but I'm hoping to see a lot of people there as well. All right.
Yeah, and
And then-
Josh presented there, and I think Justin Nordine presented
did.
there. And
He
did
did.
Sites ever present there?
I think he was scheduled to, and he couldn't make it for some reason. So I know that they would love to have him there as well.
I'm putting that conference on a to-do list for next year.
Good.
I'm very excited. I've heard a lot of great things about it.
Yeah.
It's one of the better networking conferences because you know everybody there is really OSINT focused.
Cool.
So, okay, so then I want to throw it out to Dutch. What do you have to promote? Do you have any shameless self-promotion?
One, I will be at the infosecurity.nl conference on the 30th and 31st of October. I'll be giving a talk each day.
Okay,
Looking forward to that one.
yeah.
Cool.
Technisette, do you have anything to promote?
Not really, but maybe we can hint towards the webcast we're maybe planning to do on the Facebook graph.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, we were thinking that we're going to do a webcast here on Zoom, special webcast. At least Technisette and me. I'm not sure who else is going to join, but we're going to walk through that base 64 at the very basic level. So if you're advanced and you're like, this is so simple, we're not talking to you. I mean, you can by all means join us, but we're talking about putting it on a very, very basic level that you can.
Yes, so
Okay.
everybody should understand how it works, and we'll guide you through it.
With a
How
bunch
much
of
are you guys charging for that?
$0 and zero.
$0.
What?
That's right.
Free.
Can I get a discount?
Absolutely
awesome.
free.
Well, you can always support OSINTCurious.
Mhm.
Well
Go to our
played.
In fact, that kind of brings,
website
yeah,
and put in some dollars.
that brings me to the fact that we have a new Patreon patron,
Yep.
Christopher Baring. So thank you very much, Christopher Baring. We didn't talk about sponsors yet, but I want to mention him first. And then, of course, we do have our perennial sponsors. We have, Hunchley and Sands. Any other organizations that want to sponsor us in the future, by all means, get hold of us. We are kind of spreading our wings with that sort of thing. Other than that, anybody else have any input? SumDev, can we?
SumDev.
Anything more to say?
Sector told me on Twitter that he will be watching this webcast later. So
great.
I would just like to tell him that I'm a big fan of his work and I really appreciate what he does. And it would have been much better if he was here with us, but he was busy with something.
He was, and
Yeah,
that's why we have this whole group, so we kind of can take.
So he let his biggest fans down, but I am letting you know that I'm one of your biggest fans, SumDev.
That's right.
Because
We're
I
so happy to have you here, SumDev.
I really appreciate what you do. I'm just jealous of your coding skills.
And hopefully, I know that
Thanks.
you really want to talk to Sector. Hopefully you guys will get a chance to talk offline, but just so that you know, I think the whole OSINT community is very much a big fan of the things that you're doing right now, SumDev.
Thanks. Actually, we talk a lot on Twitter, but being on webcast is a different thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for being on here with us.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you everybody who came to see our live talk. We've got at least one person on the phone and then some of our perennial people. MW OSINT's there. OSINT Techniques was on the list. Ginger Tea, we always see you there as well. And please come back for the next one that we do. Again, this should be uploaded fairly soon and on the podcast soon. I do see we have 2 questions.
Well, maybe there's one question which was submitted by someone, and I think that's a question I would not like to answer because I just suck at curl. But someone had a question regarding curl. Would it return a domain owner information when it's marked as private in the other WHOIS databases?
Yeah.
So
I think that was a question that might have come from one of the 10-minute tip videos that I did, using the command line tool curl, CURL. And what curl does is it allows you to, from the command line on Linux or Mac or even a Windows box, you can request you can interact with a web page, essentially make a call out to it and retrieve the HTML or JSON or whatever comes back. The short answer to the person that asked, I think it was Matt. I'm sorry. The short answer is, Matt, it's not going to reveal anything. Curl's not going to reveal anything more than if you visited a web page or a web service in a web browser. It works just the same way. So if you can make a request out to WHOIS, like to Aaron.net, and you are using the REST API, you can get JSON, you can get some good information if you go right to Aaron or right to Ripe. But curl's not going to do anything magical. Think of it as kind of a special, specific web browser for Linux or Mac.
All right, everybody. Let's say thank you, and I guess we're going to cut for this week.
Yeah.
Cool.
See you in 2 weeks. Send us any questions anytime on Twitter.
Thanks, everybody.
All right.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everyone.